All right, so today, sometimes you just have to go and take a little bit of a walk because you see a picture that you envision in your head is going to turn out better, and hopefully it does, but I just have to go for a little bit of a walk. This is a small reservoir, but it's more like a pond, and I've always wanted a photo of it, especially when it was full, but I think right now with the water being so low, it's going to add a little bit more detail to the photo. And so what we'll see is I want some trees over here that are reflecting off of this lake, reservoir, or whatever you want to call it. I really want to get that into my photo. And so what I'm shooting on is my Sony A7IV with the 50 millimeter. It's one of my go-to lenses in photography. Just, you know, they always say nifty 50, but when you're doing landscapes, if you're taking it at such a distance that the 50 can capture everything you need, it's the perfect well-rounded. I do have it on a small little tripod, but I'm kind of worried I might get into a little bit of marshy area right here. But sometimes you got to do it for the gram, right? I actually really like this tree or this sagebrush right here in photo. So what I'm going to do is this photo, I am going to adjust my aperture down. I am shooting an aperture priority just because I want to, and you can. This is going to be more of like a vertical 9x16. I don't need it to be anything too special, but I am shooting at like I said, actually this is f1.8 with my ISO being about 320. I'm going to drop that down, however, to 200 just so I can get full range of my color. But when I do take this photo of this lake, I'm going to jump my aperture up to about f8 just to get a little bit more details. This is getting pretty tall, y'all. It might be a little bit murky. Hopefully there's nothing in here that's gonna bite my leg. And I'm hoping no one stopped at my truck because, yeah. All right, so as you can see over here, possibly in my video, is I have over there, I've got those trees with that reflection. I don't want to go too far out here just because it's going to be really muddy. But I think about right here, if I raise my camera up a little bit, I want a little bit of these leaves and stuff in the foreground just because it adds a lot of detail, and that's kind of what we're looking for. You got to kind of look at your composition a little bit because I want this photograph to focus more on those trees than anything. But if you shift, which is what I'm going to do, is I'm going to shift my composition a little bit. You can either set your timer or you can just kind of go for it. But at f.8, which I'm going to switch it to, f.8 is going to be a lot slower of a shutter. So maybe I really don't want to get out here too far because I'm already sinking. So I'm actually just going to do this handheld, but I'm going to take a bunch because then what I'll do is I can just layer. I don't know if you can hear that, but my shutter is really slow. I'm going to do a double check just to check to see. I really wish I could get out there a little more, but my feet, I don't know if you guys can see, my feet are sinking, and I really don't really want to get my feet too dirty. But this would be one that's also kind of, you could use something such as like a 24-70 or an 80 millimeter to get a little bit more of your, your subject, which is those trees, in frame. I like to do a lot of landscape, and so I wanted to have more of the landscape itself, with that being a primary subject, my secondary being obviously the pond. But the nice thing is sometimes when you come to these areas, or you see these areas, there's other things that come to mind, or you see other things. The sun is directly above me. That's why this is so, it's kind of a bad shot, that the shadows are really heavy on that branch right there. I like the branch. But if I shift, I'm still going to be shooting from the shadows, but I'm going to try and get a little bit of this wheatgrass in my photo. I'm just trying to think how I want to do this, because I really want a little bit more leading lines into it, but the only way I'm going to stomp down to 1.8, and I will try and not sink in this, but this is pretty muddy. Let's just do kind of like a abstract mess. There's so much to it. So we're just gonna take a few like that. I was gonna, ooh, there's a hole. Oh shit, that was a hole. I was gonna shoot kind of like a more detailed shot on that, or not detailed, but more of a wide shot on that, but that's all right. Holy God. This is a lot of work, y'all. Walking through really thick grass. I'm out here in Oxford, Idaho, and you've got Oxford Peaks right here. Really pretty mountain range. Here in Utah and Idaho, we get a lot of the sagebrush. It's a plant out here in Utah and Idaho that I actually love, you know. It is vegetation for the vast majority of wildlife, you know, deer, elk, moose, but it's everywhere. But it thrives out here because it doesn't need a whole lot of moisture to survive. But yeah, that was it, y'all. That was my little walk. It's probably gonna be I think it'll be a decent photo. I don't think it's gonna be like, you know, a gallery worthy photo, but who knows. I just wanted to take you guys on a journey of kind of a quick little photo shoot, photo idea that never stopped to take a photo. So today was a day on Halloween of all days. Anyways,